Second, you're live.
All right. Hey, everybody. Thank you. Welcome. It's good to see you. Thanks for being here at the session. I appreciate it. Hope you're doing well. Let's go ahead and get started. Today, we're going to be talking about Copilot. Before we get started, I need to read a legal disclaimer. So let me go ahead and do that. Today's demonstration is designed to instruct you
we're the ones who pay attention to everything.
hold on just a second. On using Metastock and the accompanying software plugins. It's not a recommendation to buy or sell, but rather guidelines to interpreting and using specific indicators and features within the software. The information, software, and techniques presented today should only be used by investors who are aware of the risk inherent in trading. Metastock and its employees shall have no liability for any investment decisions based on the use of the software, any trading strategies, or any other information provided in connection with the company. Metastock and its employees do not endorse the purchase of a security, nor are they paid for the promotion of a security. No information contained in the presentation should be construed as investment advice or the solicitation to buy a security. As we get started, I want to just kind of welcome you to the room. Thank you for coming. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure to like and subscribe. It helps a great deal. If you have questions, ask. If you're in YouTube, you can just ask questions in chat. If you're watching in GoToWebinar, all you need to do is click on the questions box and then type in your questions and we'll get it. We'll be able to see it. We will have a formal Q&A session at the end. So if you have any questions, let us know. Our guest today is Blane Markham. I want to congratulate Blane. He has a brand new baby, May 15th, baby girl. And so that's awesome. We've had Blane come in on eStock at our conference just a few weeks ago. He's going to talk a lot about the strategy that was developed by Chuck Hughes, an international award-winning trader and a 10-time trader champion and all this other kind of stuff. So without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and get him ready and get him out here and get him started. Blane, let's go ahead and get you going.
How's it going, Jeff? Can you see me and hear me okay?
You sound good to me and you hear great.
Well, perfect. Awesome. Well, thanks so much for having me.
Let me go ahead and make you the presenter real quick here. And you should just get a note that says, do you want to share your screen?
Yeah, I'll look out for that here. But yeah, thanks so much for having me. Excited to be here today.
Absolutely. We'd love to have you. Congratulations on the baby girl.
Thank you so much. Yeah, no, we're absolutely thrilled. She's sweet as she can be, and it's our second baby girl. So yeah, just really enjoying every single moment, and it's short on sleep a little bit right now, but it's been great. So.
Well, thank you for spending an hour with us instead of the newborn. I can see your screen. I can hear you. I can see everything. Everything's working well. I'm going to get out of the way. Go.
Awesome. Well, fantastic. Thanks so much for the intro, Jeff. And folks, thank you all so much for tuning in today. I'm really excited to be here. And today I'm going to be talking about one of our internal technical analysis tools that Chuck and our team have developed over the past couple of years, and it's truly one of our favorites. I think by the end of today's presentation, you'll probably be able to see why as well. But today, just the title of today's presentation is being able to help your trades take off with Chuck Hughes's Copilot. Now, if you just joined the room, my name is Blane Markham. I'm a member of Chuck Hughes's Hughes Optioneering Team, and I'm one of the chief trading strategists on his team. So just a quick roadmap of where we're going in today's presentation. Enough about me. Let's go ahead and hop into what we're talking about here. What you all are here to see is about Copilot, and we're gonna get there. But just a couple things we're gonna do before we jump right directly into the Copilot indicator. And the first thing we're going to talk about is just a brief overview of just what is technical analysis. I'm not sure if the experience level of everybody out in the audience, I'm sure there's a lot of traders out there that are incredibly experienced, have been around the markets for probably decades and decades, but there could be some newbies out there. There could be some folks that maybe have not had that much experience out there and maybe have never even heard the term technical analysis before. So we're going to touch on that and just frankly, why is it useful? Why do we use technical analysis in our team's approach to the markets? Right after that, we're going to go ahead and hop into Chuck's Copilot indicator and just break down some of the basics of what that is, how it works, and what you can expect to see if should you choose to use it yourself. We're going to talk about understanding the buy signals that are created by the Copilot system, the profit targets, and the stop losses that are also automatically generated by it. We're going to touch on the two lower indicators, which are part of the Copilot system as well, that help serve as signal strength confirmation indicators. We're also going to talk about an in-depth analysis of the price action on the buy signal days and how we like to analyze that ourselves. We're also going to be touching on being able to enhance your trade profitability using those two sub indicators, so those two lower studies that are included with the Copilot indicator. We're also going to touch on using this is a really key aspect within the Copilot suite of trading tools too. Within the Metastock software platform, they have fantastic charting tools, but we also have built in there through their explorations feature a scanner tool that is, as great as the indicator is, the scanner is really crucial as well because it does a lot of the heavy lifting and legwork for you. And after that, we're going to hop into a few recent examples of successful Copilot trades. And then, as Jeff said, we're going to wrap things up today with just a brief Q&A. So if you have any questions, I think you can go ahead and post them in the chat, and I know those will get relayed to me at the end of today's presentation. So with all that, let's go ahead and hop right into just our overview of just what is technical analysis. Now, technical analysis is a methodology for analyzing various kinds of securities using historical statistical data, namely things like price, volume, amongst a handful of others. Now, you're often going to see this expressed in the form of a chart or graph, so think a stock chart, and this is done to easily identify existing price trends. Now, within technical analysis, it kind of falls all under that one umbrella, but there's two major disciplines of technical analysis. So the first, which would be trend following, and the trend followers out there, they use statistical data to help form trend lines and determine a security's current trend and its likely future movements. Now, the second discipline would fall under pattern identification. Now, the pattern identifiers, they're looking to identify patterns which have historically preceded the preferred price movement that the trader's looking to happen in that equity or instrument that they're looking to trade. Now, with that said, this poses a question, which one should you use? And while personally I feel that both forms of technical analysis are equally valid approaches and each certainly have their own merits, myself and our team here at the Chuck Hughes Optioneering Team, we specialize in the trend following and statistical analysis discipline. Now, with that said, I want to go ahead and discuss something truly key about this, and it is, why do we take a technical analysis-based approach to the markets? Well, it's because of this. There's several benefits to taking a technical analysis-based approach, and the first one is because it's rooted in statistical analysis. You're simply analyzing existing stock data and what has actually happened in the trading of a stock. And by doing this, you're able to identify trends using the analysis and then create a rules-based technical trading methodology to follow. So by creating and following a rules-based technical trading system, it is so helpful because it helps to solve one of the most common issues that investors out there face. And it helps you to avoid making emotional trading decisions, whether this be panic selling near the bottom or on the other end of that, going all in near a market top. By following a rules-based technical system, this can help you to avoid these common investing blunders. So just a recap of just why technical analysis is very helpful to many traders out there. It helps to provide specific rules and guidelines to follow for those traders, which helps to eliminate the emotional decision making when it comes to trading. And then it also provides clear and concise entry and exit signals for the traders following that system. Now, regardless of your own personal trading experience, it really is this simple. Whether stocks are selling off, market volatility is spiking through the roof, and the noise out there in the markets could not be louder, or even if stocks are printing new highs day after day, no matter the case, if you stick to the system's time-tested rules, which serve as a guide through these uncertain times, this will allow you to block out the noise and make measured, methodical trading decisions regardless of current market conditions. Now, with that said, I want to go ahead and share with you one of our team's absolute favorite technical analysis systems that we have ever developed. And we call it Copilot, as I've alluded to earlier. So let's go ahead and hop into just a brief overview of what Copilot is. So Chuck's Copilot indicator is similar to Chuck's power trend systems. Any of you watching out there that are familiar with Chuck Hughes and some of his more traditional trading systems, one of his main ones he's used over the years was the power trend system. So Copilot is similar to the power trend system, but it's not exactly the same. There's some slight differentiations, some slight improvements that have been made. It has a little bit different focus as well. But with all that said, in order for a stock to be on a buy signal according to the Copilot system, that stock or whichever equity you're looking at must be trading above its 200-day simple moving average, as well as trading above the 35-day exponential moving average. Now, on top of that, additionally, using the Keltner channels that are also built into the system, Copilot finds stocks that have pulled back below their upper Keltner channel and also currently trading above the middle Keltner channel. And it does this to help confirm the resumption of a bull trend on the day of the buy signal. Now, this snapshot right here is actually what the Copilot indicator looks like. So this is right from the Metastock charting software platform. So you can see here is just a chart with Copilot overlaid on it. And so circled, or rather boxed in the bright green box here, this top part of the chart here with the candles showing each day's trading action, that is actually the main Copilot indicator. That's where the main portion is going to be shown, is up in this top daily price chart with the candles up here. Now, Copilot's buy signals are indicated on the Copilot indicator chart with a green arrow, which is going to be located below each day's candle where there's a buy signal. So you can see right here circled in, or boxed in again in green, you can see there's a buy signal that was generated on this day right here back in late March for CME. So you can see the green up arrow generated right there below that day's candle. That's signaling that on that day there was a Copilot buy signal that was generated for CME stock. Now, on the day of that buy signal, 2 profit targets and an additional stop loss are also going to be automatically generated as soon as that buy signal is printed on the chart. So this is all automatically done in the background. So the profit targets and the stop loss, they're going to remain on the chart for the duration of the trade. So whether, until either that stock trades up through the profit targets or it trades down to that stop loss, and until that stock trades through one of those, they're going to remain printed on that chart. And just a quick note on how these are created. These are actually calculated using a derivative of each stock's own personal ATR, or average true range. So, these profit targets and stop losses, these are not just some arbitrarily set number, that's just applied throughout the whole system. It's actually individualized to each buy signal that Copilot goes out and finds. And so you can, over here on the right, you can actually see a bit of a zoomed in look of what this actually looks like, kind of zoomed in, more up close view. So of course, here's your green up arrow on the day of a buy signal. And then the 2 green dots up top, you can see the first green dot, that is your first profit target. And then the second green dot a little bit higher up, that's actually going to be your second profit target. Now, conversely, down here below the price of the stock, you can see there's a red dot that gets generated as well below that buy signal. That red dot is actually going to be the stop loss level that's automatically printed on the chart for Copilot. Now, as I mentioned before, there's actually 2 additional charts. You probably saw this in the snapshot earlier of what Copilot looks like. There's actually 2 lower studies that are a part of the Copilot chart as well, which these are very important to the whole Copilot system as well. So I'm going to touch on the first of those 2 lower studies here now. And that's going to be the buying pressure lower study. And our testing revealed that actually the closer that the close and the high are, the more likely the trade will become profitable after a buy signal is initiated. So the Copilot buying pressure lower indicator, what it's doing is looking to find the distance between the high and the close for that stock. And the closer that the high and the close are, the taller that bar is going to be showing up in the chart, and therefore the stronger the buy signal. So the taller that bar, the stronger the buy signal, the better the buying pressure is. So you can see right here, this middle chart here, this middle lower study, that is actually our buying pressure lower study. And so you can see it's essentially just a bar chart, and it's going to be indicating the buying pressure strength in 2 ways. You can see it's color coded and also the different size of the bars as well. So here's your buying pressure indicator. And again, we use this as a secondary strength confirmation indicator to help us sort through all, kind of weed out the weaker buy signals and, let the cream rise to the top and figure out which of the buy signals on any given day is among the strongest ones there. Now, as I mentioned, you can see that the buying pressure chart is color coded. So this is how you can determine the actual buying pressure looking at this chart right here. So the taller the bar, remember, we like to see a taller bar in that one. So the higher and taller the bar is, the better the buying pressure strength is for that actual buy signal on any given day. And it's also color coded. So if you see a bright green bar, that's going to be correlating with those tallest bars on the bar chart. So when you see a bright green bar there, that's going to be the absolute best buying pressure possible. So that's optimal. There's also going to be slightly shorter bars that are going to be a little bit darker green. So that's still good. Obviously, we still like to see good buying pressure there. Now, there's also ones that are not quite good, but they're not bad either. They're ones we'd still consider. But these are going to be showing up as orange, kind of medium-sized bars on the chart. So this is more moderate buying pressure. We would still consider these buy signals, but it's not optimal, and there's probably going to be some better choices out there. Now, you're also going to have the shorter ones, and these are going to be the lowest buying pressure signals in this middle study right here. They're also going to be color-coded as red, so indicating these are, while there may be a buy signal on that day, there's really not great buying pressure behind the stock. So there's probably some better options to consider that Copilot's also found for that same day. Now, keep in mind, depending on what size of stocks, what pool of stocks you're, scanning through, on any given day, there could be 5, 10, or even many more Copilot buy signals that the Copilot scanner returns to you. So The buying pressure lower study, what it does, it helps you to pick the strongest buying signal on any given day. Now, the stock with the highest buying pressure value, again, has the closest distance between the close and the high of that day. So the stock with the highest buying pressure value on that day of the buy signal is one of the strongest signals that day. Now, to move on to the second lower study, so this is going to be our trend confirmation lower study. And again, our testing over time revealed that a shorter term MACD trading above a longer term MACD is a bullish sign and is also likely to result in a profitable trade after that Copilot buy signal is generated. So the Copilot trend, so this is a trend momentum confirmation study. The Copilot trend lower study plots the shorter term and longer term MACDs. And if the shorter term MACD is trading above the longer term MACD, then this confirms the strength of that Copilot buy signal. Again, so you can see boxed in the bright green box down here. This is going to be our Copilot lower trend momentum confirmation study. So this, we also use this in conjunction with the buying pressure study, both as another secondary trend confirmation indicator to help sort through and find the best of the Copilot buy signals on any given day. So again, just to briefly just lay out again how this works. So both the shorter term and the longer term MACD lines are going to be plotted on this lower study down here. So you can see that the shorter term MACD line is the one that's actually outlined in black. So you can see our arrow pointing to it here, and I'm kind of following along with my mouse right here. So the one that is outlined in black is actually our shorter term MACD line. Now the other line on here that is not outlined in black, so you can see here and also here, it's just a touch below the one there, that is actually going to be our longer term MACD in this lower study here. Now, on the day of a Copilot buy signal, what we want to see is we want to see the shorter term MACD actually trading above the longer term MACD to help, again, confirm the strength of that buy signal. So this is how we kind of start weeding through those buy signals when we have a handful and we're trying to figure out which one is the best on any given day. So with that said, we're going to go ahead and now hop into a recent Copilot buy signal example just to show you exactly how we would use this. So this is actually dating back to just a couple months ago. This is back to April 11th. If you remember, there was a lot of volatility happening in the markets in early April. Things were rather choppy around April 11th, but despite all that noise, you can see Copilot actually generated a nice looking buy signal for CME on that day. So you can see here's a snapshot of the chart from that day. So here is the green up arrow right below the daily candle there for CME on April 11th. So we have a confirmed Copilot buy signal there. And if you just follow it straight down, you can see that we actually had a yellow bar here, and we have our additional lower study here, which we're going to hop into in just a second. So just diving a little further into the chop chart, again, we are confirming our kind of grayish line right here. This is our 200-day simple moving average. So you can see that the stock was trading well above the 200-day simple moving average there. This blue line here, this dark navy blue line, that's actually our 35-day EMA. So as I was mentioning earlier, this is kind of what's working in the background of the Copilot indicators, confirming that all of these conditions are met for the buy signals on that day. So again, you can see stock was trading above the 35-day EMA there. And then here also our Keltner channels overlaid. And so you can see the stock was trading below our upper Keltner channel, which is shown right here. So stock was below that, but it was also trading above the middle Keltner channel for most of the day there. So that meets all of the basic criteria for the buy signals for the Copilot system. Now, as I was mentioning earlier, you can see that in the middle lower study here, the buying pressure study, we had moderate buying pressure. So again, it wasn't the strongest of buying pressure on that day, but again, it was very, very close to becoming a dark green bar. If it just got above that level right there, it actually would have flipped to dark green. So it was still orange. It was still a fairly tall orange bar, so it was moderate buying pressure. It was certainly good enough for us to consider for a buy signal on that day. Now, looking at the lower study there, the trend confirmation, so this is the momentum of the trend confirmation indicator as well, we can see that the shorter term MACD was indeed trading above the longer term MACD there. So that is also confirming that this is a very strong buy signal on that certain day there. Now, just looking a little further in the future, if you hadn't already looked across the chart there just to see how this signal played out, you can see just a couple weeks later on April 29th, just by the end of the month, both of the profit targets were taken out by this. You can see the stock, it consolidated. It had a bit of a jump after, first couple days there. It was essentially consolidating, stuck in neutral for about a week. And then after that, man, it really took off. You can see towards the end of April, that stock really started rallying hard to the upside, trading higher. And again, you can see the stock traded, hit the first profit target on this occasion right here. So that was the 28th of April. And then the next day, you can see it traded right up through the second profit target. So it captured both of those profit targets at that point. And so that would have been the exit point for the trade, is once it got through that second profit target. Now, after going through that example, I want to go ahead and discuss the second really key part of the Copilot trading group of tools, and that is actually using the Copilot buy signal scanner. So this is very crucial as well. So just how Chuck and our team, how we like to use the Copilot scanner, we prefer to generally scan, a larger index of large cap stocks. So we often look to scan the S&P 500 stocks. Sometimes we even consider scanning the Russell 1000 stocks. So it's, all those top 500, but also the next 500 market cap weighted stocks. So we're generally looking at the S&P 500 index. And we choose these basket of stocks to scan because often these are going to be the stocks with the most liquid options that are available out there, which is how we prefer to trade these signals when we go ahead and personally take these Copilot signals. Now, keep in mind, when you run a scan on an index like the S&P 500 that has 500 stocks in it, pending conditions in the market, you could certainly have several, buy signals return on any given day, or, a handful, so there could certainly be more than just 5 or so buy signals, so keep that in mind. But I actually ran the scanner just a little bit earlier today, and, we've had a pretty nice little bounce in the market over the past week and a half or so. And so you can see that, things are, kind of broadly a little overbought just in the short term right now. So that we're actually only just a couple of buy signals that showed up right when I ran the scan just earlier today. This was probably, 4 or 5 hours ago when I ran this. But you can see this is actually what the scanner looks like through the exploration feature through Metastock's software. So here are the two stocks that showed up. This is scanning the S&P 500. There was a nice looking buy signal for Mondelez, and there was also a nice looking buy signal for Chubb, major insurance company there. Now, looking a little further into the exploration feature here, looking at the scanner, we only had 2 buy signals show up here. So it's, a little easier to sort through 2 buy signals. But when you have a list some days of when, 35 or 45 buy signals pop up because, conditions broadly across the market are really ripe and there's a lot of great looking buy signals, this is really more key what I'm going to talk about next when that occurs. So this column right here that says pressure, this column is actually built in. So it's actually going to mirror exactly what we're seeing in the chart for the buying pressure secondary confirmation chart that's actually in the Copilot indicator. So we have that represented here in the scanner as well. So how this column works is this is looking at the buying pressure and it's rated on a scale. The highest value it could be would be 1, and that goes all the way down to 0. So 1 would be the best buying pressure, 0 would be the worst buying pressure. So the closer that value is to 1, the better the buying pressure is. So, say for example, you have a day when you have 35 to 40 different buy signals. Well, right here, you can just sort this column in a descending order. So you have the stocks with the highest buying pressure showing up at the top of the list, and just start going down through those ones to the best buying pressure and see which ones match up. And, that's how we like to see and use the scanner function as well. Now, looking at these two, they actually had both very strong buying pressure. You can see Mondelez came in at 0.95, and so did Chubb. So there was just marginal difference between the two. So they both were very strong looking buy signals. So, with that said, we're just going to go ahead and assume that Mondelez would be the first one we were going to take a look at there because it had very strong buying pressure of 0.95. So this is actually a snapshot of the chart of Mondelez from today. So again, we had that buy signal that was generated for Mondelez today. So here's our green up arrow right here. And so here's, of course, our 2 profit targets that were generated and our stop loss level as well. You see we had a very strong bar here indicating just fantastic buying pressure for Mondelez during today's trading session. And then looking at the very bottom for the Copilot trend confirmation indicator, we can see exactly what we are preferring to see and exactly what we look for down this lower study as well. As we can see that the MACD line that is outlined, so that's our shorter term MACD, is trading above our longer term MACD, the one that is not highlighted. So we can see the shorter term is above the longer term. So we have double confirmation down below. We have a nice looking buy signal here. So this is a very strong Copilot buy signal that was generated just today by the system. So with all that in mind, the next question after that rises, how would you look to then trade the actual Copilot signals? What would you do with these? Now that you have this great looking buy signal, how do I actually put this into action? Well, just keep in mind that Copilot is specifically designed to target bullish setups across the market. And this could be taken as simple as just looking to purchase the stock shares. However, as I mentioned earlier, our team's preferred method of trading these Copilot signals is actually by utilizing call options. And what we like to do is we like to identify our top stock pick, of the day amongst the different Copilot buy signals on any given day, and then select a call option to purchase for that signal. So this is just some basic call option selection criteria that we like to use when we're looking to trade these Copilot signals. So generally going to be considering option expirations that are somewhere in the neighborhood of 4 to 8 weeks out from present. And so these could be weekly or monthly option expirations. Of course, this is pending availability. Not every stock offers weekly expirations. Some just have monthly. But it's going to be somewhere between 4 and 8 weeks out from the day of the buy signal. And the call options that we're going to consider, they're going to be in the money call options only. And generally, they're only going to be just slightly in the money though. Of course, again, this is pending the contract availability for what's actually offered, for the individual stocks that we're looking at. Some stocks have more options offered, some are a little more limited. So, but typically the options we're going to go with are just going to be just slightly in the money. And then finally, once we select which call option that we're going to go with as our preferred trade to trade the signal, we generally will often purchase multiple contracts of that call option. So circling back to today's signal for Mondelez MDLZ, this actually would have been an ideal call option for Mondelez that we likely, had we been taking this signal and actually putting it on, this is one that we probably would have gone with right here. So it would have been the Mondelez July 18th, 2025, 62.5 strike call. And just a couple hours ago, that was trading. The market price of it was 5.65 points per contract. So next, I'm going to go ahead and move into a handful of recent successful Copilot trade signals that the system identified, and these signals worked out very, very well. So the first one we're going to touch on here is actually a signal for Kroger. So this is the well-known national grocer chain. So back on March 26th, Copilot actually detected a very strong buy signal for Kroger, which you can see right here. So here's our green up arrow. We had a very nice buying pressure confirmation here, and also again our shorter term MACD was trading above our longer term MACD. So you can see that confirmed right there. And so on March 26th, excuse me, we probably would have looked at this call option right here, would have been the KR April 17th, 2025, 63 strike call. And on that day at the time of the buy signal, that call was trading at 2.3 points per contract. And just a matter of a few days later, keep in mind that buy signal was generated right here on the 26th. Just a matter of a few days later on April 1st, Copilot actually issued the exit signal for that because the profit targets for that signal had been taken out. So keep in mind, had you placed that trade just 4 trading days prior, that trade actually would have been up 82.6% in just a matter of 4 trading days time. So this is just looking what that call value was actually worth on April 1st, so the day that the exit signal would have been signaled. So you can see the 63 call, at the entry date, it was trading at 2.3 points. It had now risen all the way up to 4.2 points. So that correlate, that rather translates to a 1.9 point or $190 profit. And that, equates also to an 82.6% return. So that was a very nice winning trade opportunity that Copilot found just here recently. And here's one more. This one actually was also back in the month of April. So this was, again, there was a lot of volatility, a lot of, craziness around the markets, a lot of noise. But you can see on April 9th, Copilot blocked all that out and actually detected a very strong buy signal right here for Encompass Health Corp. So the ticker was EHC. So again, you can see nice green up arrow right there, a very tall, nice bright green buying pressure confirmation bar right there. And again, our shorter term MACD was trading above our longer term MACD down here in the bottom trend confirmation chart. Now on April 8th, this is the call option we would have likely looked to consider entering at that time. So it would have been the EHC May 16th, 2025, 100 strike call. And on the day of that buy signal, it was actually trading at 5.7 points per contract. So fast forward just 2 weeks later, you can see that the Copilot signal worked out quite well. So this right here was our initial signal right here. This was our entry. Well, you can see the stock kind of traded sideways. It actually had another signal that was entered. So there was, in case you missed this one right here, you actually had a second chance to enter right here. But, again, fast forwarding just 2 weeks later on April 25th, Copilot issued the exit signal for that initial signal where we look to enter back here. So you can see the stock had a nice gap up. It really moved higher right there. So had you placed that trade just a couple of weeks prior, that trade actually would have been up 159.7% in just over 2 weeks time. So just touching on what that call value was worth after you fast forward to April 25th there, you can see that the 100 strike call had now increased all the way to 14.8 points per contract, up from 5.7 points where it was trading at when the initial entry signal was issued there by the Copilot system. So that's a $910 profit for that contract, which equates to 159.7% return. Now, as powerful as those results from Copilot are, I truly believe what I'm going to share with you next is probably going to be even more compelling for you. And these are going to be some high accuracy Copilot buy signals just over this past year. So again, we're going to touch on Kroger here again now. So the first one is going to be ticker KR, again, Kroger Co. So, big national grocer chain here. And so what you can see in this chart right here, this is actually looking at the past year's worth of trading activity roughly for KR. So this is going from May of 2024 through May of this year. And over that period of time, there actually were 23 separate and unique buy signals over that period of time initiated for Kroger. So you can see here's a signal here, here's an up arrow. So you can see all the green arrows on the chart right here. So there were 23 individual unique buy signals initiated over the past year for KR. Now, of those 23 buy signals that were initiated over the past year, 22 of them ended up resulting in a winning trade opportunity if you had taken, if you had been following the Copilot system and taken those different buy signals. So that's an incredible 95.6% hit rate on just KR stock right there. But there's a handful of other ones. So check this out. So up next is McKesson Corp, ticker is MCK. And you can see, again, this is looking at the past year's worth of trading activity for McKesson. And over this past year, there actually were 14 buy signals that were initiated by Copilot. Again, just in the past year for McKesson right here. So again, you can see all of our green up arrows over the past year. And again, of those 14 total buy signals that were generated over the past year, all 14 of them resulted in a winning trade opportunity. All 14 of those signals resulted in the stock trading up through those profit targets that were generated along with those buy signals. So again, that's a perfect 100% hit rate on McKesson following the Copilot system over the past year. Now, I do have one final stock example I want to go ahead and share with you, and this one actually is going to be WR Berkeley Corp. Ticker is WRB. So this company is largely into commercial insurance. And so again, you can see right here, there were a handful of buy signals initiated over the past year. In fact, there were 18 unique buy signals that Copilot spotted for WRB over the past year. So again, you can see all of our green up arrows printed on the chart there. And of those 18 total buy signals over the past year, again, all 18 of them ended up resulting in a winning trade opportunity. So another perfect 100% win rate for WRB over the past year. Now, I think, those three specific stock examples I just shared with you, I think they do a very nice job in illustrating the power behind the Copilot trading system. However, these three stocks, they're not just cherry picked. They're not just some flash in the pan example that I pulled out of thin air. While developing Copilot, our team truly did very extensive historical testing to refine and improve this indicator and system while we were building it. In fact, when we tested Copilot against the past year or past 20 years of actual trade data from the S&P 500 stocks. So when we were testing this and ironing things out, trying to work out the fine details, we traded it and did historical trading testing over the past 20 years of actual historical data from the S&P 500 stocks from that period of time. And the results that we found of, once we got the final Copilot ironed out, the results, they were quite impressive. Over the 20-year testing period that we tested Copilot through, Copilot actually nailed an incredible 73% win rate on those buy signals that the system generated. Now, as we all know, over the past 2 decades, of course, the S&P 500 has done very, very well. And in fact, here's actually a chart of the S&P 500 over the past 20 years. So you can see, it has certainly increased quite substantially over the past 20 years. So, certainly been a nice cyclical bull market, or rather secular bull market, just trading higher, been a very nice performance over the past 20 years. But with all that nice performance that we've enjoyed, that has certainly not come, has not come freely. It's not come without many instances of volatility that traders and investors have had to stomach during that period of time. And with that in mind, be able to see Copilot's ability to navigate all of those periods of volatility and still be able to produce buy signals with a 73% accuracy rate over a span of 20 years was truly remarkable to our team. So it just really blew us away to see that over 20 years, this was not just over 1 year where the market, just had a banner year, or even just a period of a couple years. This is over 2 decades, folks. It was able to string together a 73% accuracy in the buy signals that it generated. So, folks, I truly hope you enjoyed today's presentation, and I hope you learned something maybe new about technical analysis if you were unfamiliar with it coming in today's presentation, or even if you're a more experienced trader. I hope you maybe picked up something new. I hope you enjoyed today's presentation. And additionally, I think you all probably can see why my team and myself totally love our Copilot trading system. And I really hope to see you all deployed on your own charts as well too, and be able to benefit from it just like we do. So with that, Jeff, that's just about all I have for today's presentation. So probably be a great time to go ahead and do the wrap-up Q&A session.
All right, let's do it. Oh, wait. Okay, you can't hear me, right?
I can hear you. Yeah, I can hear you now.
Let's see. Scott has a question about when you can scan during the day. So with Metastock, you can scan at any point in the day for a current day. He wants to know if it's advisable to scan during the first part of the day, or would you rather wait till the end of the day or kind of towards the close?
Sure, yeah, it's a great question. Of course, as you said, Jeff, you can scan. Anytime the market's open, you can scan, and the system's going to return you any buy signals that are active at that time. Generally, when Chuck and myself and our team are utilizing Copilot, we often like to focus towards the last couple hours of the trading session. So, letting a lot of that volatility intraday kind of iron out. Generally by the last couple hours of the trading day, you at least directionally know kind of how things are going. A lot of those buy signals are going to be more set in stone, and not be kind of marginal right on the edge of being a buy signal or not. So we typically look to aim for the last couple hours of the trading day. But if you're limited to just earlier than that, there's certainly no reason why you can't run the scan earlier in the day as well.
Cool. Michael says, I'm a Copilot subscriber. Will this presentation be posted to the member website? I don't think so, but we do have it on YouTube.
Yes, yeah, I know this presentation is going to be posted to you all's YouTube page. I know that you all have it recorded and should have it uploaded to your YouTube page.
Michael, I also put the link to that YouTube page, or the direct link to YouTube, but we'll also email that to you about an hour after we get done today. So it's live. We actually stream it, and it'll be there. Well, as long as YouTube is, I guess.
Yeah.
As long as we have a channel.
Chances for the replay, though.
So, anyways, let's see. We have a question from YouTube about options. Is it recommended that you trade it with options, or would trading just the stock be sufficient?
So, as I mentioned earlier, you could take it as just basic, as basic enough as just following the stock recommendations. It's obviously certainly up to you as the trader to, in your discretion to make that decision. But for our purposes, for Chuck and myself and our team, when we're personally using the Copilot system to find trading opportunities and how we look to actually implement them, as I mentioned in the presentation, we like to utilize options to trade these. We specifically, we generally like to find in the money or slightly in the money call options. Somewhere between 4 to 8 weeks is what we personally generally target. For those buy signals, and that's how we personally like to trade these Copilot signals, is to use long call options. So just buying directional calls, meeting those criteria. That's how we personally like to do it.
Now, when you do that, are you looking for specific deltas?
Not a specific delta. No, it's more or less just trying to maintain or manage cost as well. We try to be mindful of just the entry costs. We that's why we try to generally go just slightly in the money. Again, that's pending contract availability. Some options out there only have strikes available in 5 or 10 point increments, or sometimes you get a buy signal on a very expensive stock, that could be $1,000, $2,000 per share. So some of those things kind of factor in as well. So it's not so much that we're targeting a specific delta. or even, a fade or anything like that. It's, we're looking to generally just go a few strikes in the money, just, generally speaking here, go a few strikes in the money to, buy those call options within that 4 to 8 week to expiration time frame. And then to manage a trade, we would follow along just with the profit targets and stop losses that are shown right there on the chart. So, we generally like to set up our positions, as I mentioned, taking multiple contracts of whichever call option that we take. And so that's where the 2 different profit targets come in. So if the stock trades up and hits that first profit target, we'll actually use that as an opportunity to go ahead and take some of that risk off the table, go ahead and lock in some profits and exit some of those contracts that we entered to, say for example, we entered 4 contracts, for example, we'd go ahead and probably look to close 2 of those and then keep 2 open to see if the stock continues to rally and trend higher and maybe takes out that second profit target. So, we look to go ahead and close half position at the first profit target. And then if we take out the second profit target and continue trading through there, that's when we would go ahead and close the rest of the position. So that's just a brief idea of how we like to manage when, the positions once, when our team is following these co-pilot signals.
Cool. And as I was kind of asking that question, Anna asked, what about what moneyness are you looking for? And you answered it perfectly. She also want to know, are you just doing straight calls?
Generally with Copilot, we are looking to do just straight calls. With our historical testing, we found that on average, these signals, generally resolve themselves, whether hitting the profit target or trading down to the stop loss within 10 to 15 trading sessions max. Sometimes it happens even quicker than that, as a few of the examples I shared demonstrated. But generally, it's it could be even as short as 7 trading sessions sometimes. So I would say somewhere probably 7 to 10 trading days is when most of these are going to resolve themselves. So because of that, that's why we look to trade specifically the long, just going long call options, just buying directional calls. But certainly doesn't mean that there aren't other ways to take advantage of those. I mean, you could take advantage of them. Potentially using any number of different option strategies that are a long strategy. That's the key though, is just keeping in mind that the Copilot system is specifically designed to identify shorter term, this is not day trading, but shorter term swing trade opportunities with a bullish trend underlying them. So looking for bullish, shorter to medium term swing trading opportunities. So we would just try and find an option strategy that would marry up with that idea. Cool.
The last question we have is how much for life? And I think that's a perfect time for me to jump in.
Yeah.
Just kind of talk a little bit about how to get this up. We've got it on a special offer right now, kind of recap the offer and tell people how to get it. So before I kind of take over, Blane, thank you. Any last thoughts?
Well, no, nothing immediately comes to mind, but I do just want to thank you, Jeff, for having me. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate you having me here to speak to the audience, and thank you all, everybody watching at home. Thanks so much for joining in live. I really appreciate it, and I hope to see you all back here soon.
Ooh, we do have a question from Nathan. I almost missed in YouTube chat. Sorry, Nathan, but I saw it. Are you using 2 different sets of MACD settings, or are you basing the shorter term and longer term on the classic 12 and 26 EMAs?
That's a great question. So we're actually using 2 separate MACD settings. So one of them, in fact, is the 1226. That is actually the longer term. So the shorter term one is actually a shorter term window than the traditional. So great question.
All right, cool. I'm going to talk about how to get it. Thank you again, Blane. Enjoy this. How's your sleep going?
Far and few between, but we're powering through. A lot of coffee that's all we need, right?
Right. Okay. Yeah. All right.
Yeah, just keep the caffeine going.
That's always fun. I love newborns. Congrats again, and thanks for joining us, taking some time out.
Thanks so much, Jeff. I appreciate it. Take care.
Right on. Thank you. All right. Let me kind of just recap a little bit about kind of what's included here. Let me kind of move my picture out of the way. He had talked about the Copilot buying pressure and how you can use that. I don't need to really reiterate what was in there and kind of how it was talking about. I do like how it's color coded. I like the way it's put together. We talked about the trend and the short and long-term trend. He did a really good job of outlining what the profit targets are and the stop losses are. One thing I wanted to point out, and this kind of goes to Ann's question about options and the moneyness and that kind of stuff, is the specificity that goes into the actual expert advisor when we're putting it together. So if you're looking at it here, here's the expert advisor. This is kind of an openable window. It can kind of help you analyze the bars. And initially it's going to say that you've got a buy signal. It's going to tell you the long-term and short-term trends, the buying pressure that's happening. So it kind of breaks all this stuff down, gives you that buy signal, your target, your stop loss, all that kind of good stuff to kind of help you understand everything and kind of help it, you really just have a very automatic type of a system that you can follow. But in addition to that, it kind of gives you a lot of advice. If you want to buy the stock, you can. If you're looking to do options, you can look to 4 to 8 weeks. Ideally, but ideally, they like to purchase options that expire in about a month. If the month only has a few weeks, and then I go out the next month. I like to trade in the money options using Copilot signals, trading slightly in the money, with also while managing your time decay value. I like to keep the cost of the option at $10. It's very, very specific, very, very clear, very, very objective. You could kind of look at this and kind of take an idea for exactly what you want to do. So expert advisor is good, and they did a really good job of kind of putting it together with us and writing the text for us. Of course, it does do scanning. You can go in and do a market scan to find it. And we are, as part of the offer, every time we release a new product, we sit down and do a live boot camp. So on June 6th, next Friday, not tomorrow, but the next Friday, we're going to sit down and we're going to do a 2-part session where we kind of help you walk through everything. During part 1, Blane's going to do his part, where he kind of talks about how to use Copilot, find the best opportunities, the best trades. In part 2, I'm going to go in and really kind of get into details about how to best use Metastock. I'll talk about scanning and how to do it. I'll talk about looking at your list, setting up your charts, everything that you will really need that'll be helpful for Metastock. So that's included. It's going to be part of the session. You're welcome to come to it live. It's a customer-only class. We'll only do it live one time, and after that, it'll be recorded. And we'll be doing it not tomorrow, but a week from Friday, June 6th at 4 p.m. Eastern time. So again, what's included in here, you get the 4 proprietary indicators, you get the templates, you get the expert advisor that kind of spells everything out and kind of lists everything for you. And if you know much about me, you know I love the ability to scan. So regardless of where you want to kind of implement this, you can use it to scan all the optionable stocks very, very easily. You can use it if you're in like India, Australia, Singapore, Hong Kong, any of the markets that we actually cover with Metastock, you'll be able to apply this to, you'll be able to scan against, and that'll always be included. And of course, that online trading session. So the cost on Copilot is normally $29.97. That online training is valued at $3.99. If you don't have Metastock, we'll throw in a free trial of our real-time Metastock, which is a $265 value. The other thing we're going to do is give you a money-back guarantee. So you can try it out, you can evaluate it. If for any reason you don't think it's going to be helpful for you, you can just basically return it. You get a 30-day, or you get a full money-back guarantee on it. So very, very good risk reward here for you if you want to give it a go. As part of that, you're going to get unlimited support via our chat, phone, and email, whatever works best for you. So normally this would all be $36.61. As part of the money back guarantee, as part of the offer, what we're doing is we're going to say, hey, try it now for $19.97, and you're going to like it. 800, to do that, you can give us a call at 800-882-3040. You can go to metastock.com/sales chat. If you have questions, you want to talk to us about it. You can also just go to metastock.com/copilot to get your order placed right now. So there you go. Now let's see. It says, can you make sure that I get a, can you invite me to? Okay, and drop me an email, jeffrey.gibby@gmail, jeffrey.gibby@metastock.com, jeffrey.gibby@metastock.com. So, John, they do have a Thinkorswim version. This is primarily for the Metastock version. Some of the things you get with Metastock is the ability to do all the scanning and all that kind of stuff, but they do have a template that works with Thinkorswim as well. So 800-882-30. I'd recommend go ahead and try it. If you like we'll give you a free trial to our Metastock program. Metastock's been rated #1 in its price category for 32 years in a row. The expert advisor is really nice to have. The commentary is really nice to have. The scanning is really nice to have. And that's all stuff that you get in Metastock. So 800-882-3040, metastock.com/saleschat or metastock.com/copilot. So with all that being said, thanks for coming. Thanks for being part of the event. Thanks for all the questions. Let me know if there's anything I can do for you and drop me a message. I look forward to hearing from you. Thanks.